Nah, fuck that. Fuck that. Joe Biden already bailed you guys out the first fucking time because Donald Trump screwed you over his first term in office. You guys seen what fuck he did to you, and then you voted him back in again, and you think that we're supposed to have some sympathy points, or you going on CNN crying because he's fucking your shit up again? Really? Get the fuck out of here with that shit. The farmers in motherfucking Nebraska, Wisconsin, all of these states that are being affected, and they're trying to come on social media and the news stations crying now for sympathy points because they fuck themselves over by voting for this orange little bitch. Nah, it's too late for that shit now. Suck it the fuck up and struggle for the next 4 years.
I'm gonna try to get through this without crying. My name is Louise, and me and my family own a wheat farm in Kansas. We are all certainly lifelong Republicans, and we were so happy to vote for Trump in all 3 of his elections. However, we were certainly not aware that he was going to put a funding freeze on all USAID. 100% of our wheat produce is bought by USAID and shipped out of the country. So our farm is completely bankrupt. We have no customer. We had this whole deal with the US government, and now that is just gone in a second. And we are completely decimated. USAID buys about $2 billion worth of American farmers' goods annually, and every single one of those farms is in the same boat as us now. It's a sinking boat. He didn't consider us at all when he made these decisions, and it would be impossible for any world leader to do something that could negatively affect us more than what Trump has done to us. And we voted for him.
Good morning. It's a beautiful day to talk about fuck around and find out in the state of Nebraska. That's right, boys and girls. It's time to talk about tariff troubles in Nebraska because, you know, the tariff war now. Canada, Mexico, China, you know that those 3 countries account for 90% of the corn exports in Nebraska. Plus, I'm seeing farmers now taking to TikTok saying that they didn't vote for this. They didn't vote for tariffs. They didn't vote for getting rid of their workforce because they're all illegals. They didn't vote for this. Oh my God, the government subsidies, all this has been, and their farms are going bankrupt. You voted for it. Zero. None. I have no sympathy. I'm sorry to say that, and I'm sorry to be the asshole in this situation, but fuck around and find out. Play stupid games, win stupid prizes, as Taylor Swift would say. You voted for this, and you're getting everything you voted for. Problem is, you're taking the rest of the country.
So as a Nebraskan, the farmers predominantly voted for the current president. They also voted for Pete Ricketts and Deb Fischer, who aren't doing anything for them. And China announced that they're not going to buy corn and soybeans today, or I think they've done it over the last couple days. I think it was last week. Because of the trade war, their current president that they voted for decided to wage, a trade war with China. They're not going to buy your goods. And I know that a lot of you have said that you want aid. Well, as a taxpayer who lives in Nebraska who did vote for the right candidate, I don't think I want my tax dollars going to bail you out. I think you actually should sit in your decisions and feel the effects. You want us to. Every time we vote for a Democrat and you say they're horrible. So at this point in time, I'm going to tell you the same thing you say to me back. You wanted to vote for this. Now you get to deal with the consequences. And I don't think I should have to bail you out. Because I work hard for my money too. And my dollars shouldn't bail out your bad decisions. So yeah, today I'm telling you, the farmers here in Nebraska, you need to deal with your own decisions. It's your consequences, not mine, and I don't want to pay for them.
Hey guys, welcome back to Afro Judy. Thank you so much for tuning in. I really appreciate your support. Nebraska farmers are about to go bankrupt, and right now they're crying out for help because a majority of their workforce were the undocumented immigrants who are being paid low amount of wage. And right now that deportation kicked in, these undocumented immigrants are even scared of getting out of their houses to go to work. There is no one to pick the berries. There is no one to take care of their cattle, and there is no one to work on those plantation farms. This is the best part of F around and find out because perhaps they knew that voting the Tacoman in, he is going to make America great again, only for him to implement the tariffs, and China in retaliation refused to import the soybeans and even the meat. Now, these Nebraska farmers are begging the same people they thought they are going to punish for help because there is no one to work in their fields. So guys, without further ado, let's dive in and kindly give the video a thumbs up.
There's a little bit of good news coming out of Nebraska. I mean, if you could call it good news. They have identified a way to cut their budget shortfall pretty much in half. Now, if you haven't been paying attention to the story that's happening in Nebraska, there's a lot of panic that the state is going to go bankrupt. And there's some saying it will happen in just the matter of a couple of months because they have a $400 million budget shortfall. There's a lot of different reasons for it. Let me tell you what they are. But a lot of it very much is self-inflicted wounds. And now they're kind of dancing around going, oh my God, what did we do? Nebraska is experiencing right now at a state level what we're all about to face at a federal level. So I think it's important to pay attention there because this is what happens when you give giveaways and subsidies and tax breaks to the wealthy and you do all of these things that in the moment feel right because they get you votes and they get you popularity and they get you all this shit. And then when you have to pay the bills, you realized you fucked yourself. And that's exactly what Nebraska has done. I think the number one reason that Nebraskans should be concerned is that they've lost their immigrant labor. Nebraska was one of those states that had there's a lot of farming, a lot of agriculture type businesses, and they use a lot of immigrant labor. Whether they're documented or not, does not matter. There were people who were not native Nebraskans who had moved there and were working there. Nebraskans, like a bunch of other states, voted for Trump, which told their immigrant population, we're not welcome here. Instead of waiting for the jackboot stormtroopers from ICE to come knock on their doors, the immigrants pieced out. We're going to go someplace where people will use our labor and will like us and will treat us with a little bit of dignity. So they probably hustled their asses to Colorado or California or someplace else where they could get work and they could be safer. So rumor has it that this was 60% of their labor force. And when you lose that much of your labor force, you've got no one to pick your wheat, you got no one to slaughter your cows, you're in big fucking trouble. So that's the start of it. They're not making as much revenue. They're not supplying as much food into the food chain, which, by the way, screws all of us. Our food supply is going to be fucked if this happens. So let's just say that. But they also did a lot of other things, right? They put in corporate tax breaks and they did all this other stuff. Now suddenly they don't have a pot to piss in. Their budget committee has gone back to work and they're trying to find places where they can find this money. And they've identified 165 million more in revenue that they can bring in. 65 million of it is from, well, let's just go ahead and raise the taxes on the corporations. Amazing how quickly the money pours in if you make everybody pay their fair share. But I digress. Anyway, they've also done some other things, cut some extra funding. They cut a major portion of funding to the University of Nebraska Medical Center, which is quite frightening for the people who work there and a lot of the research they're doing. Probably have to make a total separate video about that because university hospitals all across the nation are getting crushed right now because they're losing a lot of their funding. But one thing they've also decided to do was to take the cash out of their slush fund. Every state kind of has this emergency fund. And I get that they think, okay, this is an emergency. We got to use the slush fund. So they're putting their slush fund toward their budget deficit. I understand that. But what's happening is, in case you don't know, Nebraska is one of those, let's use the word socialist states, meaning they are one of those red states that gets more from the federal government than they put in. Okay, they get a ton of subsidies for their farmers. They get a ton of stuff. And sadly, there's a lot of people in Nebraska who are poor or even poverty level citizens. and they need government funding. They need things like Medicaid and SNAP benefits and those types of things. Well, when you've got the Doge dickheads going, nope, nope, cut it all off. We don't give a fuck who starves. We don't care about poor people. We don't care about children. Cut it all off. What's happening is the federal government will start giving less to Nebraska. And Nebraska is going to be expected to pull herself up by her bootstraps. Not if they've raided their slush fund. If they don't have any money left in their slush fund, they can't help their hungry and poor citizens. So again, it's all self-inflicted wounds, because this is how they voted, and they supported an administration that was going to slash. They supported an administration that said, no more brown people. They did this to themselves, and it's very hard to feel sorry for them, right? There's a lot of people on here that are like, bye-bye. But it's a major hit to our food supply. I took some notes. Let me just tell you. They are the third largest producer of corn. They're a big producer of soybeans. They are top 15 producer of wheat. And I don't know if you knew this, but Nebraska, number one in popcorn. They're the number one producer of popcorn. We stand a risk to lose our popcorn, people. But that's not even what I want to talk about. They are one of the top producers of beef. If you've not, I mean, there are some exceptional cattle ranchers in Nebraska, and they provide a huge portion of America's high quality beef, but also pork, poultry, and wait for it, eggs. You think they're expensive now? You shut down the state of Nebraska, that's a big hit to the egg industry. Now, the what would be the cherry on the top of the fuck around and find out Sunday is that 43 days before the last election, Nebraska's state house made a Hail Mary to try to change their electoral college process. If you're not familiar, Nebraska has 5 electoral votes, but it's not a winner take all. 3 of the electoral college votes go to, however, those 3 congressional districts. So if 2 of those districts go blue, that's two electoral college to the Democrats and 1 to the Republicans. And then the other 2 are given to the person who the party that wins the overall state. So if the Republicans win the total state, they would get that. So last year, the way it stood to be was that Donald Trump would probably get 4 electoral votes. Kamala Harris would get 1. 4 out of 5 isn't quite enough when you're a Trump-loving, conservative, middle America white man who happens to be in the Nebraska State House. They didn't even want the black lady to get even 1 vote. Oh, no. They tried to change 43 days before the election. They tried to change their electoral college process to a winner take all. And luckily it didn't pass. There was somebody in the state house that said, this is dumb, we're not doing it. So it was dead in the water. But my point being is that this state is led and probably is populated by people who were die-hard, rabid Trump supporters. People who will throw a Hail Mary at the last fucking minute because they wanted him to have an even bigger win. And now they're crying on TikTok because they might go bankrupt. If you're a blue dot in Nebraska, hang in there, maybe pack your bags, maybe go to Colorado. I'm so sorry this is happening to you, and I'm so sad it's gonna fuck our food supply for a very long time. But you fuck around and you find out.
But why would you do that? That would have taken effort on your part. Now you're posting your videos on TikTok about the consequences of your action, losing your family's 300-year-old farm, asking us why we're not more upset on your behalf. Why should we be? You voted to screw us all over, and now that you ended up screwing yourself, you expect us to show up for you. Bitch, please, no. We understand this is gonna fuck up our food supply chain. We've accepted that. You don't seem to have accepted shit yet. But maybe when that corporate farm comes in and buys your defaulted farm at a low price, they'll let you work there? For minimum wage, of course. I guess that's how the farms are gonna get white workers. They're just gonna take your farm and turn your white ass into a worker on the farm. So I guess your prophecy does come true. Just not in the way you thought it would. I would say maybe you'll learn something from this, but you clearly haven't. Based on the videos you're posting, you guys clearly haven't. I mean, maybe you can do what historically other people have done. They've left the farms and they've come to the big cities and they've gotten jobs in factories. Whoops. Yeah, good luck out there. Tell those liberals and Democrats in town, the ones you talk about, tell them we've got their backs. Yours? No. Are we going to feel guilty about our decision later on? No. Because had it worked out in your favor, you'd currently be hop, skippity, dippity, square dancing, screaming all over TikTok, "We were right, we're so rich, we're so special, we're mega, you're shit." We know that. We're not going to forget that. It doesn't matter how many TikToks you post about how much you're going to lose. We're going to lose just as much as you, plus our ability to care for about half the population of this country. We're processing that. We don't have time for whatever you're trying to do. But concepts of thoughts and prayers, and as much sympathy as you showed everybody else in your community when you went out to vote.
Dear Nebraska farmers, I have a question for you. So, you realize that you were employing your farms with undocumented workers, because there's no way that you didn't know that, right? You realize you're also breaking the law by doing so. But you then rail against those same undocumented workers that's doing the work and making you money so that they can be deported. And now you're crying and whining and trying to skin and grin to Donald Trump to stop him from deportations when you supported it overwhelmingly. It's kind of like the Venezuelans, right? When right before the election, they were like, "I will vote for Donald Trump." Oh, 2 weeks later, he used us. How are y'all feeling right now? Bye.
So guys, welcome back. The undocumented labor has long been the silent backbone of agriculture in the United States, and for decades, the immigrant workers, many who doesn't have the legal status in the United States, have powered planting, picking, and even processing of food. And with the mass deportation going on in the United States right now, the farmers are crying out because these immigrants are even scared of getting out of their houses to go and work. The crops are rotting in the field right now. There is no one to take care of their cattle. And the Nebraska farmers, they did it by themselves because Nebraska is a red state. When they were being told that Tacoman is going to deport a lot of immigrants, they never listened. They only knew that he's going to make America great again. And by making America great again, the Orange Man went ahead and implemented tariffs, and China retaliated back by refusing to import the soybeans, the corns, and even the pork. And you know, this is the bloodline, the blood life of Nebraska. Because China knows very well that Nebraska is a small state, and if they do this, they will automatically go bankrupt. And that's exactly what China did. This is the best part of F around and find out. Now that the Nebraska are crying out, begging even the Democrats, whom they knew very well that they are going to punish, they are begging them for help. Who actually saw this coming? Because these undocumented immigrants, they were being paid low amount of wage, of which the normal American citizen cannot accept being paid low amount of wage, cannot accept being paid minimum amount of wage. And this is exactly why these undocumented immigrants stuck to their work. They were working so hard for them to get that greener pasture, because they left their country knowing very well that if we go to the United States, we are going to work so hard to make sure that our family are happy, we provide everything they want. And now, being that they are being deported, who is going to work on those fields? And there are even employers who are snitching their employees to the eyes. And I think these are the kind of employers who should be arrested first, because if you are employing undocumented immigrant in your farm, then later on you snitch that employee to the eyes, what do you expect? You are the one who is supposed to be arrested first, because you knew very well that this person is undocumented, this person is in the United States illegally. There are some people who always wish to move to the United States, but with the current things going on right now, you know, we are seeing that American dream as a scam. Because before, we used to know that America is a good land. America is a land of opportunity. America is the land of milk and honey. But right now, it is not. Because even the protests going on in the United States, I saw a sheriff from Florida warning the American citizens that if you try getting out, if you spit on us, we will unalive you. We'll send our beautiful dogs to bite you. Like, is it really legal for a sheriff to say that to the citizens? Because I know very well that protesting is not illegal. It's a way of citizens practicing their democratic rights. But that one aside, the Nebraska farmers, they voted out of self-interest. They didn't want to vote for a woman because they just wanted that man in the office. They knew that perhaps maybe Kamala will not help them, but now they are in need of the same Kamala that they didn't vote in. They are bearing the consequences of their own action. It's a time for them to employ those American citizens they didn't want to employ because they knew that they can't pay them low amount of wage. And which American citizen is going to accept to work in those farms? Absolutely none, if I'm not wrong, because there are some kind of work, like for instance construction work, very few of them will be working at those sites. In plantation farm, very few of them will be working in those sites. That's why most of those kind of jobs were occupied by the undocumented immigrants, and now it's a time to fare for. Anyway, guys, let me know your thoughts in the comment section about the Nebraska farmers. Are you going to show them any sympathy, any empathy? Let me know in the comment section. And thank you so much, guys, for watching this video. Kindly give it a thumbs up and also subscribe if you are coming across the channel for the very first time. I'm your host and presenter, Judy. Until next time, see you in my next episode. Bye.